Hi there, my name is Rasheed and welcome back to my Anki tutorial. In that first video, if you remember, we explored why you should actually use Anki. And in this second video, we're going to explore on how you actually start on Anki and how do you make decks and effective cards. So first of all, how do you download Anki? So what we want to do is just Google download Anki and click on the first website. And every time you either update Anki or you download an add-on, which we'll talk about later, always make sure this is the official Anki website. As you can see, it's ankiweb.net, and you can see this official logo. So just go to the bottom and download the one appropriate for you. Just install it by following the wizard and just open the program. So we're finally here. Once you open Anki for the first time, it may ask you to sign in. Just sign in, and what that basically does is when you create an account, it allows you to sync your progress with your Anki account on other devices. You're probably wondering, what is this? And don't worry, I'll talk you through it. And first of all, just to note, on your Anki, you will not have any decks, or you'll not have this blue calendar thing, which is an add-on, which I'll talk to you about later. So first of all, I'll just show you around. So one of the best parts about Anki is the shortcuts. So as you can see here, decks. If I'm on any other page, and I want to go back to this main page, this decks page, I just click D. If I want to add a flashcard, as you can see, add, I can just click A on my keyboard. As you can see, that has added. I can add a flashcard. Or if I want to browse all my flashcards and I want to search quickly for flashcard, I can click B. So B for browse. I click B on my keyboard, and now I'm here. And what's also interesting, you can also import files. So if someone shares their Anki deck with you, you can also import that. And as you can see numbers in different colors. Don't worry, I'll talk to you about that later. But first of all, we want to create a deck. So what is a deck? A deck is just a deck of cards. It's just a group of cards. And what is really good about Anki is the element of organization. As you can see, I have my main deck called CBL, after case-based learning, and then I have these many sub-decks. And then within those sub-decks, I have topics within those. I have sub-decks within those. I even have sub-decks within the sub-decks. And so you can keep making decks just to give this element of organization. And that means is because you can choose what to study. So you can choose to just study the specific sub-deck, or you can choose to study the whole deck, the whole year one deck. So what you want to do is, let me just close this. You want to create a deck. So I'll just name this Anki tutorial. So there. And if you want to create another sub-deck, you can just click create deck at the bottom again. And once you've made that, you can just drag it into another deck. And there we have a sub-deck. So what we need to do is, you can click on the deck that you want to create a card in. So I want to make a card within this sub-deck. And I click A to make a flashcard. So just to double check, my deck is in the correct deck that I want. And if I want to change a deck, I can click Control D, as you can see here. And I can quickly change which deck I want to add. And if you want to change the type of card, you can click over here, Control N. And whoa, I know what you're thinking. What type of card? The different types of cards? Yeah, there are different types of cards. And today, I'll talk to you about the three main different types of cards. So let's get started on this first one. This is the most basic type of card, and it's called basic. And so this is basically literally just a normal flashcard, a normal question and answer. I can type in a question. And to quickly toggle from the question quickly to the answer box, I can click Tab on my keyboard. And I can even change the font, I can make stuff bold, I can change the color. Making the keywords as colorful as possible really helps me, and different colors. And so there, I have literally created the first flashcard. And to confirm this flashcard and add it to the deck, on my keyboard I click Control and Enter, or Command and Enter. And there, we've added a flashcard. And so if I want to study, I click Study Now. That means I want to study all the cards that are due within this deck. How many North Atlantic lobsters are born by blue? So I might have forgotten the answer. I might think, not really sure. So what I do is, I click space. I click the space button on my keyboard. That then reveals the answer. So as you can see, if you're doing this with me, you have 4 options at the bottom. So these, you basically rate these how easy you found this card. So you can click the number 1 on your keyboard, and this will do the first option. So that means I completely forgot the answer to this question, and I need to do this card again, right now. So I need to revise this card right now. If I click number 2 on my keyboard, that's hard. So that means I did know the answer to this question, however, I really struggled to find it. Or maybe if it's a long answer, if the answer is slightly more complex, maybe I only remembered half of the answer, not the rest. So I click number 2. That will tell me to do the card quite shortly. So over here we can see in less than 6 minutes. These numbers, you can change them, and I'll show you how to change them to be more optimal. Or for now, we'll just say in less than 6 minutes. If I found this card quite good, really, I just knew the answer quite quickly, I click 3. And that will tell me to do this card again within a longer period of time. So obviously less than 10 minutes. As I said, we can change the numbers. So for example, on my settings, when you find a card good, and you click number 3, it will tell you to do that card within 2 days. Whereas if you find it really hard and you didn't know the answer, it'll just be within the next minute. And then number 4 is if you find a card really, really easy. However, I would actually avoid pressing number 4. Because if a card is really that easy, why is it a card? Like, one of the really important parts of Anki is what should be cards and what shouldn't be cards. And we'll do that in the next video. But if a card is that easy, do not waste your time and do not have it a card. So once again, I forgot this answer, so I click again. So I can do this card right now. So I clicked again. Can you see now the number has gone from blue? Because the blue numbers are the brand new cards, which you need to learn, as you've never done them before. But these orange cards are the cards that are due. They're due for revision. The numbers here in green represent something called mature cards. So these mature cards, I've learnt them and I've revised them quite well. And so I'm only revising these cards once every 2 months. And so this card is due for revision. So there's a question. And for the answer, I kind of forgot it. I'm thinking. Oh yeah, and I think I remember now. 1 in 5,000. So that's quite hard. So I click number 2. So now we're back here. So as you can see at the bottom, these intervals have actually changed. They've increased. And now good, you repeat the card within a day. Whereas last time, if you remember, if you click good, it repeats the card within 10 minutes. So that's because as you do cards more and more, you need to revise them less and less, because you learn them more. So now, because this question is quite easy now, I can click good, number 3 on my keyboard. And I've now finished this deck. And if I go in tomorrow, Anki will tell me to revise that specific card, because I told it to remind me within a day. And I'll show you how that works now. But for now, we'll just add another card. And so we talked about basic cards. So if I click Control N on my keyboard, or Command N to change the type, I can see something called basic and reverse cards. So this is still a basic card, it's still the same type, but it's just a subtype. And this is really useful because it creates 2 cards. Let me just show you. So right now I've created 2 cards. One of the cards, the question will be this, the front, what is the capital city of France? And the answer would be Paris. The other card, the question would be just Paris. And the answer would be what is the capital city of France? So that way I can reverse engineer answers to questions and questions to answers. So the information is way more connected in my brain. Because I could know that the capital city of France is Paris. If you ask me that, I can answer you, it's Paris. But what if I hear it in conversation, and what if I'm presented the information the other way around? Paris. Can I reverse engineer that back to the fact that it is the capital city of France? And so it links information in your brain in 2 ways. So obviously for this fact, it's quite easy. You don't need this card. But in more complex facts, more complex processes, this card is very useful. So I can click Control Add, and I'll show you that later. So now it's time to move on to the second type. So I click Control N. So we've talked about basic and reverse cards. They're both one type because they're both basic cards. Now it's time to talk about closed cards. So here I click Close, and I click Enter, Choose. So now these are closed deletion cards. What does that mean? Let me just show you. So for example, I can type in, it's basically what closed deletions are is fill in the gaps. So over here, there are 2 main key answers. The capital city of the UK is London, and what is its population? Population 8.9 million. So I can go to this first answer, and I can make it into a blank. How I do that is click Control-Shift-C, or Command-Shift-C, and there. So you can just manually type this in, but that's quite annoying. And I can also do it to this. And so there. So if I can also insert a picture into the back extra. that I've pasted in a picture of London. If I click study now, so do you remember, so this was the basic card we created, was a capital city of France. I think it's Paris. That's quite hard, so let me click in less than 6 minutes. And there, so now we can see the blank. So I can see the capital city of UK is blank. And I need to work to find out the blank. So I think it's London. So I then click space on my keyboard to reveal the answer. And as you can see, I can now see the picture. Or you can even add text. In that back extra section, so the second section on the close is called back extra, you can add anything you want to be revealed with the answer. So if I click hard again for that, do you know, so this is the basic reverse card. Remember, we created 2 cards. This is Paris. I need to reverse engineer it back to the question, which is what is the capital city of France. That's quite easy. Let me click good. And now this is the second blank. Yeah? And let me just show you something. So if I want to edit a card in here, I can just click E on my keyboard and it brings me straight to edit the card. So I can change color. What I can do, so can you see now we have 2 flashcards. One of the flashcards, this was a blank. And the other flashcard, this was a blank. And you can see that by C2, second flashcard, or C1, first flashcard. What I could do is edit this to be C1. Or if I wanted it to be C1 from the start, instead of clicking Control-Shift-C to make it another flashcard, what I could do is click Control-Shift-Alt-C. So 4 keys, and there. Can you see they are both now C1? So what that means is, it says what to do. Use the empty cards tool. So I can click tools and click empty cards and click delete. What that does is, because you know how we had 2 flashcards at the start, I changed the second to the first. So deleted the second one. So these are, let me just skip through these. And now, can you see now both blanks are now hidden in one flashcard. So these are really useful. I can create as many flashcards as I want. I can hide information. And this is a technique I used at the beginning of the year. I used to just copy and paste long processes or facts, just conceal the keywords. And I used to just go through the keywords and try to guess the keywords. However, it didn't actually work that well in my medical school exams. And the reason is because I was more just learning flashcards. So I was more, for example, if I was trying to learn this fact, I was more just learning in this specific flashcard, the first blank was London, if you get what I mean. But I wasn't actually understanding the fact that the capital city of UK is London. Does that make sense? Obviously, I was doing medical and complex processes and stuff, but I'm just using an example. And that's the problem with closed deletions, that when you're just guessing the keyword, you're not actually doing that much work. And so your brain isn't fully tying information together. And so I spent many hours a day revising using this type, these closed deletions. However, it did not bring me success. And I was quite distraught. And so what I did, I just worked hard and I changed my technique. And instead of making these closed deletions, just like this, I made more of these type. The first type we talked about, basic. This, for example. And so here, if I was to make this a card and I had to write this myself and I had to think of this whole process myself, that is way more solidified in my brain, that these 4 steps and this specific order are the brief stages of error progression. Well, as if I was using the closed deletions and I was just making these blanks and this one a blank, it just wasn't going in your brain. But when you have to actually yourself write the process from start to finish, that is way more effective. And when I started using more of these cards, basic cards, although it takes longer to type, however, it made me do a lot better in my exams. So now it's time for the third type. So the third type is here, image occlusion. And I know what you're thinking, if you're following this with me, you can't actually see image occlusion. And so how do I get this? Well, this is called an add-on. So add-ons are basically tools you can download from the internet and add it onto your Anki to enhance your Anki and make it better. So to download add-ons, for example, this image occlusion card type, I click escape on my keyboard to go from this. Just Google image occlusion Anki and click on the first website. And once again, this is the official Anki website, as you can see from the logo and the website name. So here's basically an explanation of what it is. So you can see this is the best use for anatomy. So you can put a picture, or any picture, especially anatomy, and you can add labels. so these yellow boxes. And each of these labels is one flashcard. So for example, over here, you have to guess what that specific structure is, and so on. And so just scroll down until you can see this code. Copy that code, then go back to Anki. So click Tools and click Add-ons. So or Control-Shift-A. So click Add-ons. And over here you can see all my add-ons. And I'll talk maybe a bit more about these in the third video. But for now, just click Get Add-ons. So you click that. You then paste that code in that we just did. So I already have this, so I won't add it again. But you should click OK, install it, and then exit out of Anki. So close Anki completely, and then open it again. Once you've opened it again, we can go back to add a card, go back to this subdeck, click A, Control N to change the card type, and there you should have image occlusion and image occlusion enhanced. So just click that, and now you want to go to the image section and just paste in an image. Paste in any image. I coincidentally have this image of the digestive system ready to paste, and there. So I've pasted it in. So what I can click is Control-Shift-O on my keyboard. Control-Shift-O, or click this button. I can click that, and now I can add the labels. So let's just say I want to learn this. So you can just add labels to the stuff you want to learn. And remember, this is an important tip. If something is easy, don't add a card. So let's just say I know that this is the liver. I might get confused about these, but I know this one's the liver. Will I add a flashcard? Will I add a label around the word liver? Absolutely not. That'd be a waste of your time. Just add the stuff that you do not know. Okay, so I'm just adding stuff here. I'm adding, you can edit it, you can edit the boxes, just move them a little bit. Okay, and so now, let's just say I'm finished with this. So you can click, actually let's just say I'm finished with this. You have two options over here. Hide all guess one. And so what that will means is that this will appear as a flashcard. All of these boxes will be hidden and one will be in red. For example, this. You will then have to guess that red box. So I'd have to guess what is behind this box and all of the rest will be hidden. Or you could click hide one, guess one, and that means you can see all the boxes except for one. And that one you have to guess. Everyone prefers this first option. It's much better to hide all the labels, hide or guess one. So I've now added 5 cards. Can you see? So each of these labels is one flashcard. Okay, and another thing you can do is group labels together. So I can add this here, here, and then I can select them by going back to my cursor, and then by clicking G on my keyboard. So now these 3 labels will appear as one flashcard. So these 3 labels will be hidden together. So I just click close. And from here, you've already added the flashcard, so you can click close on this as well. Just click yes. So let me just skip to the image occlusion. They're all hidden, and I have to guess this one, the red one. And I can see this, and there it is. So that's quite good, so I'll click in less than 10 minutes. This is the third type. I'd recommend using this just for anatomy. Do not do what a lot of people do. For example, a lot of people would go to their lecture notes, screenshot the lecture slides, like information, and just add these labels to paragraphs, and you have to guess the paragraph, which doesn't really make sense, and it is not effective. So do not kind of just screenshot like a process, like respiration, and just add labels to different words. It will not work. Keep this for actual image guessing, which is anatomy basically, in medicine. There's not many other stuff to fit into that. It's basically just anatomy, where you actually have to have more of an image awareness. So that's the 3 types of cards. So you had basic cards, which was just a basic question answer. I'd recommend using those the most, especially for processes, so you can yourself outline the process from start to finish. That doesn't mean you have to have a whole entire complex process, all the ins and outs on one card, because that'd be too much. I'll show you how to split it up in the next video, and how much you should have in each card. That's the first type, basic. The second type was closed deletion, so that was fill in the blanks. I would not recommend using those too much. I'd be very cautious using those. As I said, I started seeing a lot more success in my exams once I switched from closed to basic. So I'd just be cautious to close. And the third type is image occlusion, just adding the labels to images. And that is perfect for anatomy. Those are the 3 main types of Anki cards which will help you smash your exams.